Blessings and welcome forward to Reasonings right here at the Trail Life. I'm your host, the Great Owl, in the presence of my co-host, Brother Ramon Singh. Perfect love. Perfect love. Yes, Brother Singh. We have been having an interesting sort of discussion currently outside the church in my community, just across on the bridge, while we're listening to the gentle sounds of the river water rushing by ever so swiftly, and the children and the people in the community passing by. It brings a joy, to my spirit, because living, surviving, doing something within our communities, to me, have always been an interest I've had. I've always been indigenous in awareness. Indigenous has been my natural outlook from day one, even though I didn't necessarily put my entirety of concepts or consciousness around it. But indigenous behaviors of just accepting the environment as part of oneself and the people in the environment was how I was naturally. And I suffered a lot when I realized that people were postmodernists or modernists in terms of they had individualist view of reality and themselves, and they weren't sharing equally into the communal space. And so I suffered a lot, and belief systems followed along the path of that suffering, trying to reclaim or see something in the outer world that much what I was feeling inside. And I believe my journey through Rastafari too, and many of the other, because I was a Muslim for a while, a Buddhist for a while, my journey through the different levels of spirituality or religious viewpoint was really my search to have that connection that I was feeling inside to things, to creation, that there is actually a harmony to be in your community and be able to survive, and you're not fighting with the people and the people are not fighting with you. You're not building barricades against each other. So this leads into our current reasoning about the Aboriginal life. A lot of people, through we have been religiously educated, we don't appreciate Aboriginals because we probably think about what they taught us about the first people, because we're religious and we are educated by the religious system of Rome, who also in one sense gave us the church knowledge, and in the other sense gave us the scientific knowledge and tell us all evolution and everything, right? So when we're hearing about the original indigenous man, our first people, they told us that they were primitive, and they said that primitive didn't mean primal as we now know, which is the first and obviously the most important, that cannot be redone or undone. But anyhow, they taught us that these people were primitive, meaning to them backwards, uneducated, without a developed sense of reality. So many people wouldn't want to claim that we were Aboriginal. So we didn't want to admit that the Bible and the religious culture taught us to hate ourselves and to be racist, because they told us that Christ was fairer than 10,000. Fairer means lighter skin, lighter tonality. In actuality, he's black till he's blue. So Yeshua is black till he's blue. But Sejar Bujia is some white son of Clementius, whatever, right? And this white guy has been given to us as the representation of Christ, which is kinematically forcing an image into our subconscious, yet to subvert us under a white idea of God, to dominate us and keep us subservient and to self-hate. And so when we talk about Aboriginal, the original peoples of the earth, many people didn't want to talk about that. You're backward. You're underdeveloped. And that is why they believe that they were slaves, or believe that Rome with its Christian philosophy, so-called Christian philosophy, that came and subjugated them, these Christians, right, subjugating them, was somehow delivering them from the darkness of their ignorance into the light of consciousness. Because these generations, 3 and 4 generations after Dom Devasi and the overthrow of our societies, they really did believe that they were backward, and to claim an Aboriginal status was to lose a sense. When Aboriginals and natives is this philosophy they use, because native is a person who born in a land. And so we don't use the word natives to relate to our status or our state of being, because a native is born in a land, right? So if you're white and you're born in a black man land, they say you're native to that land, as our etymology defines what a native is. But however, Aboriginal is of the geographic location as indigenous. Indigenous says you are endemic to a particular region. You are of this region. You are specific to this region, or you are specific to all regions because you were the first in all regions, right? We're going to come to the biblical definition. We're going to come to you. But we're going to define Aboriginal indigenous status. The environment is very important. The locality, the geographic, geomorphic location is very important, right? So we are Aboriginal, not just born in a landmass, but we're the first there to the entirety of the landmass. We were the original. The geography produced us. The environment produced us. Just like how this species is endemic or specific to the I, the red man, Aboriginal to the Americas, right? And we have the Aboriginal Africans that are in their groups, which we know are not Neolithic groups. So when we talk about Aboriginals in Africa, and people tell about Neolithic peoples like Berbers, Amazigh, and such people, Neolites, they are not Aboriginal people. We have to talk about people that are out in Madagascar. We have to talk about Andaman Islanders. We have to talk about the Ndebele and the Khoi and the San. We have to talk about them as Aboriginal people down in South Africa, and the people of the Andaman Islands as Aboriginals, and the Australites in Australia, you know, which we call the Aboriginals. We just call them Aboriginals, but the Australian Aboriginals, right? If you are not in that specific grouping, you are not original, which is what Aboriginal is about. Original. So not, let's say you might be native to an area, but you're not Aboriginal. So the Aboriginals now of the Americas, right? We have many definitions as they refer to us as each age went on. But as Jamaica, we say we are Tainos, right? And the Arawak language is a language which speaks synonymous with several other nations, which are also peopled by Tainos in the Americas. Just like all nations, we are mixed with the Olmecs, the Toltecs, and such, all of the people of the Americas. They have Hebrew names in ancient cultures to refer to them, which is like the Algonquin and the Algonquin language, which are Paleolithic Hebrew, which is ancient terminologies of the 5 nation states, which are the 5 peoples of the Americas, right? The 5 different branches of the red man, right? So you got the Algonquin tongue and the Algonquin language. You got the Gullah Geechee as a different point of the same, but a different nation of the people. You got the Navajo, you got the Lenape, you got the Blackfoot, right? So these are Aboriginal nations, but you also have the Arabic names for them during the time of the Arabic or the Moorish presence in America. So you have Moorish names or Arabic names for the places. You have the Yehudi name for the Hebrew presence for places like Salem and so forth, right? Like we were talking about Salem before, and we're talking about Goshen in Indiana. The ancient names of the ancient places, Aboriginal heritage in the Americas, coming through these socio-political and religious viewpoints. But Aboriginal means original, before we were interpreted by oppressors, invaders, and such. I know it's a long bit, not to say, sorry.
Yes, man. According to what I gather in my research, so far, so we understand that Noah landed, Noah's Ark landed in South America. And from there, all people start spread out. His children, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and their families start spread out from South America. And each family take a space in our earth.
Yes, sorry.
And that time the earth was one mass.
Yes.
So until the age now when Nimrod built up the Tower of Babel and I defy God's will, the Antichrist.
Yes. Hey.
Father send an earthquake and split up the continents. So I saw continents form. split up the families
Yes.
by the great river,
Yes.
the sea. You know, so we overstand that people scattered all over the place now in earth.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
saw now them start build back them nations. But over like thousands of years. Because if 3,000 years pass, you know, them forget them history
Yes.
because them so caught up in the sorcery what them a learn. Them forget them history. Most of them forget them history, you know. 'Cause even the Native American, the Quetzalcoatl, you know.
And the Quetzalcoatl, yeah. The
Yes,
serpent, yeah.
And the people in Russia, you know, I worship the rabbit, and I do bear rabbit rituals.
Yeah, the Inuits up in Canada, yeah. They have similar rituals too, like the ancient kingdoms. Sacrificial rituals to this day. Carry on, brother.
So with that said, people forget that we are one family in earth. And not even some people even know, and the power of knowing and the evil in them heart, them set out to conquer and make the rest of them forget. And them alone keep the knowledge. So these conquerors know, alright, so Jamaica. People were in Jamaica, you know. That's why it named out of many one people. Because over the years, over the thousands of years, many people pass through
Yes.
and settle and make families.
Yes.
Most of the time, one family multiply into many families. Same way how the 12 tribes of Judah, and them start populate Egypt and start become more than the Egyptians. So the Egyptians start fear them and start oppress them more.
Yes.
Because remember, God bless Abraham bloodline
Yes.
to multiply.
Yes.
You see me?
True that.
So we are going enough.
Yeah.
Anywhere we go in the earth, Abraham bloodline are going enough.
True that.
And more than the other bloodlines.
Yes. Hebrews cover the earth, man. Hey.
Yes, I saw different families in Jamaica living, you know the Moors come through, living with the Taínos, living with the people before the Taínos, and everybody mix up with each other. And the Moors bring over Christopher Columbus over to Jamaica, show them where Jamaica is, South America, show them all of these hidden places what he didn't know or never seen before. But the Moors are usual trade route for them. Them go around the world trading different things.
True that.
Some people don't have metal,
Yes.
and bring them metal. But some people don't have gold, so them bring them the gold and circulate. Some people know how to melt the gold, make things.
Smelting.
Some people know how to dig for it.
Yes.
So them just
Mining.
trade goods,
Yes.
animals,
Bartering system of
you know.
gold. Yeah.
So them know the trade route around earth.
Yes.
So I saw Columbus set out with a plan to conquer
Yes.
with them higher heads, you see me? So, because them would have said Spain
Portugal
Spain.
and Spain, yeah.
first conquer Jamaica, South America. You know? And in their records, they say millions of Taínos were in Jamaica. So you tell me, say, them kill off all of them? And disease kill all of them? Millions? And you know how millions multiply fast. So they couldn't kill off. But we same one them use as slaves.
Exactly.
Same Taínos.
Exactly.
What them do? Them just lock we up, brainwash we, and who refuse them kill, and who them can tame them send elsewhere, miles away, you know?
True.
And then bring many from South America as also.
True.
So them bring in the slave trade time, because it was a way of making money for the Moors.
True.
You see me? So them must say, well, a trading time.
Yes.
So you need slave for your plantation? Yeah man, we go down to South America get some. bring them up.
But as you said,
Because these one are rebel too hard.
Yeah.
All right, we bring them to North America because we know a place who need them.
Yes.
So I saw them switch up places, switch them up because them not gonna have nowhere to run to.
Confuse and confound.
Yes, I broken.
Yes.
Break them knowledge. We don't have nowhere to keep records.
Yes.
So what happened? We don't remember our history. Just how years ago pass. Years pass, we don't know how to read and write. Many generations
Absolutely.
of not knowing how to read and write. We don't have no way of keeping our history other than singing songs, telling stories.
Yes.
But that get washed out now. Those songs and stories gone.
Yes, you're right. They've been mythologized. They've been mythologized now. And like when I was, asking my ancestors about Jamaica, and they were telling me all of what they told me, I had no correlation outside of the trust I had in my ancestors to know that this was the case. Or even later on when I asked God, I could not believe that all that the ancestors were saying was already in sync. From the moment I got saved, the ancestors came to the woman and said, we're so happy that Jerome has been baptized because we wanted him to come home for a very, very long time. And I didn't know that my faith and my heritage were going to have unity. So in the Americas, a lot of our heritage were misappropriated, given to someone else. The people within the secret societies took on the garbs and the images of our actual deportment. They took our dress and made it symbolic in their secret orders, which was actually our garb of function. Like a person would say, this is the suit of a high man of the clergy, the cloth, or the elders' council. Nabi would say, our heritage here in Hamaka goes way beyond 500 years. The federation that ruled in the Americas, the 5+1 nation, the way in which the Hebrew way of life was the structure that governed us. We in the Americas are not in a bubble. We didn't just come this way. Our traditions, the Algonquin languages, and the culture that is from the deep south, Aboriginal American culture, is Hebrew culture. It is the same that correlate with the Igbo and the Igbos in Nigeria, with all of the 32 different Hebrew nations you have in Africa. That is peoples amongst nation states that was carved up through Monroe Doctrine by the Europeans. 32 nation states that are under nations that are Hebraic, that are of the ancient tribes and ancient bloodlines. We have the same haplowork blood group. The blood genetics is the same. We are the same bloodline. We do not correlate with the mixing of the blood or the other lines of mixed genetics. Tainos are original. We are the first people here. There were no people here in the Americas, in the Caribbean, and Jamaica before us. We are the original people. What my ancestors want me to recognize is this. I want people to recognize who are listening to us. And I said it, but sometimes people miss it. So what viewers and subscribers, what my ancestors want us to understand is that when you say like Tainos, and then after the Tainos for a short time came the Siboneyes, right? And there was another group as well too. These groups, these terminologies, these etymological statements are inferences that are not the actual term that these people call ourselves. Just like people would say Africa, Africa is from Scipios Africanus. When they say Alkebulan, Alkebulan was a term by an Algerian, it's French. So it could not represent the ancient Paleolithic history of terra firma, which is one landmass. So what my ancestors want to reiterate is that people refer to us in their tongues as these languages, as these Tainos, Arawak, Toltec, Olmec. These are Arabic and other terms, reference points. They themselves refer to themselves as parts of the ancient 13 tribes of Israel. That's what our ancestors say we are, of the 12 tribes. Our history, the way we do our pottery, our system of the Izemi. The Izemi is a priest king. The blowing of the rams on the shofar, all these things are from the age of the ram. Moses, the age where Israel broke free from captivity in Babylon, or in Egypt, same Babylon, right? Before Samaria, right? In Egypt, right? That escape is known in our heritage. Hebrews from 1310 came to Taino, or we stand here in what we call now Spanish Town. It's an ancient Jewish town, because we could not have taken expelled Jews from Medina and from Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, the Golan Heights. We couldn't have taken, and some from even within the parts of Turkey with the Ottoman. We couldn't have taken them from 1310 during the Seala War and all those, and we couldn't have taken them into a structure that was not Hebraic. So what history doesn't easily reveal to the average mind is that we had a civilization before 1491, and it was militarily overrun by Christopher Colon, who had Moorish prisoners of war after they had taken Portugal with Isabella and Spain, taken the power from the Moorish Empire in Granada. Portugal and Spain, they were one empire, so let us not confuse it, right? Christopher Colon went to Isabella and Ferdinand, right, to get the power from what had now become the new power structure in Granada, Spain, which was called Andalus at the time, right, to come now to the vassal states of the Moorish Empire. Now, when we say vassal states, the Moors will gladly claim that they were always here from Abu Bakr and Abu Bakri's time. No problem about that. They gladly claim the vassal states and the nation state structure, like the Maroons are Moorish and keep a Moorish heritage to this day, right? However, we as the original peoples are Hebraic peoples because the tribes of Ishmael, the tribes of Israel. We've always been Hebraic. We are Hebrew, Paleolithic Hebrew. And our culture was like the 12 tribes of Israel. We ate that way, we dressed that way. Everything my ancestors told me. And when I went and correlated the history of the Americas and the true Judaic tradition, that's what we were living as Taino. So while we get caught up in the word Taino, when you open those books that are only revealed to the lodgemen and see bandana and certain colors, thousands or hundreds of years old, when you see your Izemi and your caciques, right, looking just like the kings with the wrapped turbans on their head, when you look at architecture in ancient Jamaica that look like the Harappan civilization in the Malay kingdom, that is what we now call Indonesia. When we look at all of that was here in Jamaica and is still here, hidden under secret wraps in certain caves and certain things, then we begin to realize pyramids are around and off the coast of Jamaica all the way to Cuba. Then we realize that pyramids are all the way into the Americas. And then we realize that lo and behold, the Atlantic Ocean is connected to what we call the Caribbean Sea, because the Caribbean Sea is a thetis. A thetis is an inland sea, a sea that goes from the open sea into an inland space that creates like an ecliptic or a curvature. All the islands are on this ecliptic and on this curvature. So the Caribbean Sea is a thetis formed by the Pantalasses, which is the Atlantic Ocean that owes the Atlantean civilization. And these are the ancient archaeological, anthropological heritage of the great earthquake that split the plain. And they don't like to tell you, oh, Atlantis went down and they got it for some mythologies. It's the same flood. It's one earth. It was the same word of God that destroyed the Tower of Babel, that brought the Atlantean civilizations here between Africa and what we now call the Americas to the bottom of the ocean, forming the Atlantic Ocean between Mali the caliphate in now Neolithic Africa, and California, the caliphate, right? We have the Caribbeans being just like the Golan Heights, and that stretch of land we call the Middle East, right? Just like the Gulf of Hormuz and all those places, right? All these places were one landmass with one civilization. When we talk about Aboriginal heritage, we can be caught up in European nomenclatures, and these nomenclatures make people who are filled with these lodged opinions and ideas to subvert, beat you down. But when you know yourself, the junk information that they're flowing upon you will have to come out like a purging of your soul. You'll have to vomit up the filth of these lies and perversion they have taught you, to realize your true heritage, realize that you are the people, we are the people of the Most High, and we must not buy a Neolithic ideology of Africanism, Pan-Africanism, and African is Scipio Africanus, European, and if you say Alkebulan, it is still Arabic, Algeric term brought into, just like if we talk about the continental shift, we know that it is a man that is some Dutch scientist or whatever came up with this, or Norwegian came up with this Pangea, right? But before that coining of the earth as being one as Pangea, I said there's Gondwanaland, and Gondwanaland represents the Harappan civilization that has a linguistic and anthropological as well as archaeological evidence all across from Ceylon and all in so-called Asia Minor, in the Adriatics, coming all the way into the so-called Americas, up in and beyond Neolithic Africa, back to Paleolithic times, right, when smeltering and iron ore was being mined and fashioned in Benin, in the Congo, where navigational sciences for transnavigation was being perfected in the Congo. So when you're talking about true heritage, I do not discount people who coin the Africanism in the sense that they are talking about actualities, but because of this Pan-Africanos philosophy, the Aboriginal heritage is lost in all of that, and it is only coded back in the book of account, prophecies, and what we call accounts, testaments, right? The Bible, it is there. It's only there you see the old earth come back together in every language, kindred, and tongue. The Lord said He scattered the people. He struck the earth, it divided, it broke. The great earthquake, it divided the people. And this is why we have the new continents, and why certain groups of people isolated at other parts of the terra firma is of the same hapla blood work. We are the same family. As the word says, we shall be scattered, and there shall be a gathering of us again unto the last days. And that gathering first comes when the shepherd, who is our King and God, manifests, and every sheep know, hallelujah, the shepherd's call. Even now, in this modern, present dispensation. Brother Singh.
Yeah, man, and even we need to let the people in America know that if you check out who are the true Native Americans, it's the same you, it's the same black people. Because if you do your research, you find out that they are Hebrews, they worship God, same God of the Bible, but from an ancient point of view.
Hallelujah.
Because for them knowledge have come from ancient times before Christ. From ancient times of Melchizedek knowledge. So at them knowledge them are trod through earth with, worshipping the great Father. You see me? And then many times fallen ones come to deceive them, deceive the tribes. You know? Because you always have this ancient one, this old one in the tribe who do witchcraft.
Yes.
And you know, so there's always this mixing of the devil within the tribes trying to get us away from true knowledge of the Father. So now, when them come and conquer the place, them totally just brainwash we and give us freedom version of the truth. Because them have the truth, you know, but it's for them version of it. So now for we now discard it.
Yes.
Because we are saying, no, a fear version, we don't want it.
Bad taste in the mouth.
But the truth in the same way, and sometimes we don't have no choice but to uncover the truth, decipher through the lies. Because it's our only knowledge we have to use, because them have everything locked up. So we have to use what we have. Because many books take out of the Bible.
Yes, true that.
And as books what would reveal all of these things to we, this history,
Hallelujah.
and true knowledge of Christ. Them take it out. Knowledge of the fallen ones, them take it out. And just give it some height. And I use it against us through religion. And I take with them people them money. I take with them soul. Because them have people that worship Mary and saints. Them a pray to Mary.
It's a Mary Magdalene cult. It's been old, it's not new. And we call it the elitist cult, or we call Lilith cult, you know.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. It's been going for a while, Brother Singh, and you're right, you know, misleading information. And when we have secret orders and secret societies, when you go into these orders, they reveal more information to you, certainly more than what is being readily given to you in the so-called university space or collective spaces. So a lot of people are impressed by the knowledge and impressed by the metaphysical power and the esoteric, not the esoteric. The esoteric is based upon the actuality of God, but the esoteric knowledge a lot of people is getting. So a lot of people who study Aboriginal heritage and history and culture recognize that. When I first realized it, that's when I stopped believing in this perfectionist idea that black people in Africa was perfect and only knew evil when Europeans came. Because I looked at the original man and upon recognizing that original man is black man, Adam Kadmon, Nikibu Kadmon, yes, is black. And so because they are Aboriginal, man of the red earth, black man, aya, man and woman. Our fall is from them. So what has happened to us black people are integral to Nikibu and Adam Kadmon. Integral to Adam and Eve. What's happening to us? And as I get older, I have to be comfortable with myself to speak what's in my heart. Christ is the second Adam, because Adam, Kadmon, had celestiality as his nature, not carnality or the human sapient consciousness we're given metaphysically as well as biochemically, right? In terms of bio evidence, as that's human. The sapient, the biological evidence is that sapient is the evolved human. And all of this is actually not true. And so when I go into the spirit of the Most High and recognize the Aboriginal, the original man, the fall of Adam and Eve, let's use their statements, Adam and Eve brought us down to a state where we no longer have perfect alignment with Yod He Vav He. We are ashamed because we have taken unto ourselves filth. And the filth that we have taken on, the curse unto ourselves, has made us human. What we call dense, what in religious term we call carnal, in the spiritual term we call malchut, right? We've moved from Keter to malchut. We have become purely carnal. Energy that is dense and congealed and can only be moved by force, not source. We lost spiritual telemetry. So Aboriginal man, I and I, is the resonance of Yahuwah, is true heirs to the kingdom. Gentiles are all the mixed breeds. That means all of them. People might argue with me. All of the mixed breeds, not just Caucasians. Not just Caucasian. Melanated Aboriginals are not carbon-based organisms. So we are not just blood carbon. Oh, it's just carbon-based. Melanin-based organism. So because they are burnt carbon, don't make them melanin. Original creation is different. We are the ones of the prophecy, of the promise, and the Gentiles are all of the mixed bloodlines thereof. Aboriginal people's telemetry is to the living God. You don't have to be taught it in school. You don't have to believe it in the ecumenicals. You don't have to learn it as the laws of nature. You actually have it written, Christ told us, in your heart. The people of God, the Aboriginal people, follow the ancient systems. And most times the Moorish, the Moabites, all of them go by an ancient system under the age of the ram. And I will say it again. That's why they blow the abeng, the shofar, the ram's horn. That's the age that they are codifying. Because that was an age where, as I said, the temples were destroyed, the culture was being removed. And so the drive to preserve it started from that age when all the world was going upside down and we were being scattered. That's the evidence of these people who are scattered all around the earth, having the same culture. And that's why they're Aboriginal. Because they were the ones that was dispersed from the destruction that hit Nimrod's time. They are the ones that were scattered from all of the wars that ensued of indifference from them. And that is why we don't like to use the word Aboriginal or original man, because we think it means the people with the worst state of existence, the most enslaved, the people who are walking around dunce. We're thinking that there are some, we call those ones Neanderthals, or not even Pro-Magna Neanderthal. Let's call him Homo habilis, right? Let's call him one of those, early man, right? Mm-hmm. Which I'm saying was different from any other that I love to talk about. These were said to be so dumb, right? But going back to all of these, let's call them one of these. That's what they're trying to suggest that an Aboriginal is, and trying to suggest that they are developed through the Darwinian theory, that they are sapiens, and sapiens are the people of God, but sapiens are those who are the most fallen. Sapiens are the ones that take the mark of the beast. Sapiens are the ones that worship Lucifer, right? Aboriginals by nature have to be in sync with the Yod Heh Vav Heh, and those who go away from that, well, they are the ones that become the fallen. They are the ones that led people astray. Everyone that have kept their tradition have been very much impoverished for thousands of years, Brother Singh. You hear what I said right now? Did anybody hear me? They are the ones that have been impoverished for what? Thousands of years. When Christ came, and you can argue with me all you want, when Christ came, who did he go to sit amongst, my brother? So when Emmanuel was on earth, when he was sitting amongst the so-called high in esteem, he called them out as hypocrites and said that the power of the Most High God was never with them, but with the people, however they call the untouchables. It's not strange that he said his place was amongst those who were the rejected of men, because the system had flipped righteousness on its head and had enshrined evil as a power. And so Christ came amongst the Aboriginal of all the earth. He traveled from India to Asia, back into the Americas, to so-called Europe, to Africa. He traveled all of the kingdoms of terra firma. And he went to every system of spirituality and proved the supremacy of the living God as himself, and within the truth that they are lacking in righteousness. So Christ actually went and taught all of the Aboriginals to return to a culture of love. That's why he didn't like ritualistic sacrifice of animals or any form. That is why his ministry concerned with washing, because he spoke about the problems within the human body that causes disease. How he referred to the human as a musical instrument, as an harpsichord. Too much tension creates agitation, and all of the negative things that comes from being dense, aggressive, and violent. Being too loose and lax leads to depression, leads to laziness and sluggardness. And perfect tuning keeping the principles of the Most High to get your mentality and your body in sync, that your behaviors harmonize with your intentions, that you don't destroy things, but by acting, all things are in oneness. This is the Aboriginal culture. This is what Christ has taught. This is what he's always taught, because the people who he was speaking to understood, because it was his people. That's why he said he didn't come for the accepted of men, but the rejected of men. That's why he said the light dwelt amongst the darkness and he comprehended it not. The darkness is at the head of this fallen world. And when the light comes amongst it, they accuse you. They say many things. They say, dunce, backward, half fool, idiot, ganja smoking, nobody. Go learn some sense, go find something, go do something. Go be somebody, go better big house, go travel, go foreign. I'm see you with 100 white, you go do something, videos there, chat. Because they use these things to break us down. To break within us the truth that the kingdom of the Most High is within us. And they are away from the kingdom. Remember our original state of being. Aboriginal is I and I. By any other name you want to call it, it's still I. Still living the ancient culture. We're still out there in the avenues and the byway, and they're still calling us fool. But the light of his presence is what's shining through us. Brother C.
Yeah, man, so original man, children of Noah, children of Adam, children of the Most High. Just remember yourself, man. You see me? Don't say all away our family. Humble and wise and serve the Most High. Turn me from evil ways.
Alright, that's so. Humble and serve the Most High. Turn away from evil ways. So Aboriginal sons and daughters, kings and queen, man and woman, love, honor, respect under the spirit of Yahasha, Yahushua, yeah, Yahuwah, divine, Yod He Vav He. Until next time, this has been the Great Out. Jerome said for the reasonings right here at the Tree of Life on Seala Media with my co-host, Brother Ramon Singh.
Perfect love.
Perfect love.